In this lesson, we're gonna talk about spacing. But first, let's go backwards and let's talk about space. What's space? If I think of space, really I think of the universe. And if you can see a planet A and a planet B, what is happening between them is what really is space. Now, if we think of something typographical, the same happens. We have a letter A and letter B. What happens in between them? That's space. Better, that's spacing. In design and in typographic design, spacing has two categories: the optical and the mechanical. Mechanical is going to be based on a unit. This unit is composed through the whole word or the whole sentence evenly. It's not thinking about shape. Now, for the optical side, the spacing is going to work with shapes, as we learned in our previous lesson. Each of the shapes is going to have an individual unique spacing. Optical spacing is going to use the relationship between the shapes. For that, we have 6 different kinds: straight and straight, circular and circular, straight and circular, circular and irregular, straight and irregular, and irregular and irregular. In this diagram, you'll see that the combination between the letters and the space, there's some overlapping there. That is mostly visualized on the circular shapes, not too much on the straight ones. On the straight ones, you'll have a same unit, and you can use that across any other letter shape. Think of an N and an M. They both will have a straight line in between them. But when you have an O next to a G, then you have that overlapping part. That is where the optical space is coming from. Things said, sometimes you'll have a wider spacing or a more narrow spacing, but still you have the overlapping between them. For that, you can use this diagram and help yourself to do your own spacing. There is an exercise to do optical spacing that is with the use of 3 letters or just 2. I have the word hat here with the use of these letterpress blocks. I'm going to move the letter H here and the letter T over here. What we're going to do is place the letter A in between the H and the T. Now the spacing here is a bit narrow, but also because of the shapes of these letters are not just the letter forms themselves, but the block, it's easier for us to evaluate the spacing here. Now, if I bring another letter in, what we'll do is identify the A and B and try to place the letter T in the middle of them. And I'll do the rest, adding more letters to that exercise, placing that letter in the middle. You can block these other letters and then just focus on B, M, S, and place the S in between these 2 characters. Another approach on this could be, if you see in this example, the balance between the letters is a little bit off. So our goal is to have the letter A between H and T, and this could be considered a regular spacing. But what if it's a wider spacing? So you have more space between the characters. You'll still need to evaluate the spacing between these 2 characters and these 2 characters. The goal, to place the A between the H and T in this case. If you want to have a wider word, then you can start adding more letters. Again, consider A and M in this case, and place the T in the middle of these 2 characters. And you'll do it on the left hand side too. And this is a principle that you can keep increasing. Then maybe you look from the far and evaluate how these letter shapes behave to each other. Maybe you adjust a little bit more. Look at the baseline too. So it looks pretty sharp. I show you how spacing works: optical, mechanical, different ways to do it. We also have seen how space and shape are together. In the next lesson, we'll introduce color.